a coach that's going to defend his players. I always love a coach that will go out there and tell you that you got to earn it. You know, call it political, call it whatever you want. I don't really care because it's not. It's just the truth. We have gotten to a place to some extent in society where we don't want to earn things. You know, I walk out of Lane Kiffin's press conference today as we were there and getting in, listening to him and seeing his reactions and being up close and personal and understanding all of the things that he's trying to say. Like, as an example, looking at TJ Daugherty, the linebacker from Ole Miss, formerly of Clemson, who leaves Ole Miss after a playoff run and follows his head coach to LSU. And, you know, when the whole thing on social media with TJ Daugherty came out, I said, guys, I'm not talking about it because it's simply easy to read what the real thing happened was in all of that. People are going to be trolls. And I did notice that the Ole Miss media, who did know the truth, didn't come to his defense. Why should we? He left us. Oh, I don't know. Because actually just being a human being for once and not a complete asshat. That's for starters. You know, like to not my own, really kind of to more my own criticisms. And people feeding into the criticisms. Guys, I've told you what I think about, as an example, Brian Kelly. Like, hey, I think Scott really screwed him over. Like, I 1,000% believe that Scott completely screwed him over. Like, I don't even think that that's an opinion. If you work this beat, you know that he screwed him over. Doesn't get me any brownie points to say that to an LSU fan base that's pissed off to him night upon night upon night. Thousands upon thousands upon millions and millions, thousands and thousands of AYS listeners. That doesn't get me any help from anybody. But I always love a coach that's going to stick up for his players. Because TJ Daugherty did the hard thing. As Lane Kiffin said today in his press conference, he knew what was going to come for him if he left Ole Miss. And Lane feels some sense of, I don't want to say a thank you to TJ Daugherty. Hey, man, you followed me here. But it's kind of a thank you, too. It's kind of a thank you in the sense of, man, you didn't have to do this. You could have done the comfortable thing and stayed at Ole Miss. But you knew what we do and you knew what we were building, and you left anyway. When, by the way, not only your defensive coordinator, the guy that you were in a room with every single day. And Ole Miss can say what they want, and I'm going to let you, by the way, just by yourself research the whole TJ Daugherty thing at Clemson that led to a man being imprisoned per Lane Kiffin, and that person being in prison because TJ Daugherty was a victim of something. See, I think oftentimes we don't understand when coaches are trying to use the media to speak to players. Now, I would assume that today when Lane Kiffin spoke about TJ Daugherty, that the conversation that he made public, I'm pretty damn well sure that behind closed doors, he's told him something similar. I also feel like it's a little bit of a complete regime change now that you have Lane Kiffin, first time at the podium, the real first time at the podium, where he's just fielding question after question after question after question. And having and fielding all of those questions, some of them of what he answered today had nothing to do with you as a fan, had nothing to do with me as media or the media that was there in general, had absolutely nothing to do for college football, and had everything to do with his players. We will get into examples of that tonight. We will get into examples of, guys, he's using the media to get to his players. Hey, man, and this is something that we're going to lead off with here tonight. Hey, man, the bottom line is, we paid a lot of you a lot of money. That doesn't mean shit. And arguably the biggest thing that Lane Kiffin said today at his press conference, it's not close. If you were listening, it's not close. The best players at the positions that they play will play. I could give a Rudy Poo how much money you make. I could give a damn if you're a 5-star. The best player is going to play. Oh, well, Blake, how do you know Lane does that? It's called Trinidad Chambliss. That's an easy one for me. So we're going to talk a lot about tonight Lane Kiffin's press conference and things that he said and things that when I was listening to him, where is the direction of where you're actually going? You've talked about the coaching staff. You've talked about retaining the defensive staff. We've talked about the portal. We've talked about the players. We've given some very brief and very early projections and thoughts about those players and the team that you can be. Guys, it's a different world now. It's a different world in the sense of, guys, now you got to lace up the cleats. Now you got to strap on the shoulder pads. Now you got to get the helmet on, and probably around a month or so, maybe a little bit longer. And guys, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. You win national titles. You win playoff games when you start in January, February, March, April, May, June, and July, and August. You don't win it in March. You don't win it when you come back in June. You don't win national championships then. You win every single day to get you there. But in reference to TJ Daugherty, and circling back to all of this, the simple fact that media that covered this story didn't have the slightest bit of decency to say, hey, man, this is bullshit, because you were so torn up. Your little emotions were so torn up, like a preteen or a teenager girl in high school that just got broken up with. Your hormones are all over the place. You're so mad that Lane and company are leaving you. Show some human decency. The reason we didn't talk about it was because I didn't know that Lane or TJ would want that out there. If they wanted it, then they would want it. But I do think it's a job of the people that cover that beat. It is their job to do the right thing. But look who we're talking about here. You can't make a hoe into a housewife. Thank you for saying that, because we're selling a shitload of hoe merch. Thank you. By the way, my Shopify, AYS Sports, to get all your apparel and gear. With that shameless plug, non-shameless plug, I just end it with this. I think TJ Daugherty and Whit Weeks are going to be the backbones of your team. They're going to be the backbones of your team. I can already tell. Being in that building today, talking to people, I think TJ Daugherty and Whit Weeks will be your backbones. So we'll see as the season plays up. All right, we got a lot that we need to get into. Everyone do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every AYS Sports show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sportsbook app today. Use your mobile device in doing so. We greatly appreciate you doing that. For any thoughts, questions, concerns, you go to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. We want to bring on a new partner for the Super Bowl week, our good friends over at Crypto.com. That is Crypto.com. You can go over to not Crypto.com, but you can go over to what they are doing now. Quick shout out to our Good Day sponsors of OG. If you're locked into everything happening across college football, breakdowns, matchups, late game decisions, and debating how far these teams can really go, OG is built for you. OG is a prediction markets experience where instead of traditional sports betting, you trade real-world outcomes. On OG, you're trading simple yes or no outcome contracts. Right now, OG is running the big game bonus. That is the big game bonus. And if you sign up and start trading predictions during the campaign window, you're going to be able to earn bonuses up to $5 Must sign up before February the 10th, so you got about 6 days. But if you sign up by then, you can register by doing such. If you see the QR code below, you can scan the QR code, and you're going to be able to be in that chance to win the $500. If you want to check it out, go to og.com or scan the QR code on screen. Terms and conditions do apply in certain states. We're greatly proud to be brought by our good friends over at ogandcrypto.com on today's episode. All right, let's get moving here. Brian Thornton became a member on the YouTube channel along with Stephen Paralow. Thank you so much. I do greatly appreciate that. Dane Bergeron says, let's go, Blake. 337 Lake Charles in the house. Dane, you need to go get Big Albert and make sure that he's a Tiger. That's all I'm telling you. That's all I'm telling you. You better go and do it. Where is everybody with listening to us from tonight? Stephen Fry, our good friends over at Fry Construction, saying Lane sure is a breath of fresh air. Hashtag goosebumps. Isn't he also put in there? He is. He is. He is. I thought it was really awesome. Cooter Brown says, wait till he leaves for Dallas and gets a restraining order and y'all lose to a ranked team. Talking about Lane Kiffin. Hey, if all of those things were going on at Ole Miss, which you're alleging that went on at Ole Miss, just throwing this out there to you. Are you part of a cover-up? To all Ole Miss fans that keep attacking Lane on all that, weren't you technically covering that up when he was your head coach? Isn't it a crime to cover things up that you know about somebody? Why didn't you call the authorities? Oh, that's right. You're accessory after the fact. So to Cooter Brown or Cooter, I mean, whoever in the hell it is, Cooter, Scooter, your girlfriend's probably a pooter. I don't really know what you're asking for here to all you Ole Miss trolls. Girlfriend's probably a pooter, man. That's all I got to say. All right, let's get to it here. Everyone do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Subscribe down below if you are on YouTube. We greatly appreciate it. Let me get to a quick break. You know what we're talking about. Lane Kiffin was at the podium today. We talk about it next. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick. We're back. I tell you, Cooter's mad. He says Blake is always triggered. Well, if I was better looking than you and your girlfriend probably found me attractive, I would be too, buddy. I would be too. I'm sorry I got to do it to you. It's just a curse that I bear. So why are you in an LSU show, by the way? That's the real question. If you're not obsessed with Lane Kiffin, why are you in an LSU show? That's all I'm saying. You covered things up. Boy, tells you more about your character than it does mine. Let's get moving here. We got lots to discuss. So obviously, I'm sure you all know by now, Lane Kiffin was at the podium today. There was a lot of things that he needed to discuss. In no specific order, we're going to go here on what we think are some of the biggest talking points. So something that we talked about on Monday, we actually texted a former number 18 who had the same surgery as Sam Levitt in the Liz Frank injury in the foot. So obviously, Lane was asked about potentially, I'm not going to call him the starter, but what we perceive to be the starting quarterback in Sam Levitt and what he anticipates that he will do in reference to coming into spring practice. Now, he said he'll be going through 7-on-7, that he won't be through team drills. Basically, they're going to get him up to speed through 7-on-7, getting timing with players. That is a really good sign. So we talked about during the recruiting process of Sam Levitt that I had been hearing that at least as of right now, most teams viewed Sam Levitt that were recruiting him that with the Les Frank injury that he was a little bit ahead of schedule. So the great news in all of this is, yes, will there be a situation during team drills that you would want Sam Levitt to go through the spring? Sure. But him being out there for 7-on-7 will be a massive deal. It's a massive deal mainly due to the fact of that he gets the rep with his receivers, he gets the timing down, and then that way he's just not out and there's nothing going on and you got to wait until August, quote unquote, to really kind of get that connection with the coaching staff. The good news is that Sam Levitt is going to be there and he's going to be practicing per Lane Kiffin. We will see as that continues to go on. Does he, how is he in day one of spring? Is he throwing the ball around? I mean, how much is he limited? Those are all questions that we're just going to have to see once we get there because we don't know. What we do know is that he's going to be a participant. At least that's what Lane Kiffin right now is anticipating that he is going to be. And I think that alone is probably the biggest news of the day, to be completely blunt with you, because yes, we get caught up in all the semantics of saying this and saying that and doing this and doing that. Guys, being on the field is the number one thing. Like, it's the only thing that matters. Everything that comes along else with it is stuff that we enjoy and we enjoy talking about, we enjoy going through, but it's not the real thing that we want. We want the Saturday nights, at least if you're in Tiger Stadium, on the field of being the actual product. So him being able to go in spring, I think, is a massive deal. You have 10 new receivers. You have four new running backs, but technically you do, and 4 new running backs. You have 2 returning. You have a complete offensive line that you're overhauling here. You got the same tight end, but you're bringing in another H-back. You got a lot that you need to work on offensively. And it seemed as if that, today at the press conference, Lane was basically, when talking about the defense, like, hey, man, I expect them to be able to plug and play some of these guys, get these guys up to speed really quickly going during spring, some of the guys that will play and start for us. And you're bringing back pretty much everybody else. Sounds good. Sounds completely fine to me because I actually agree with him there. Sam Levitt going through 7-on-7, Sam Levitt going through spring practice, however limited or non-limited he is going to be a big deal, from timing with your running backs, from timing with your wide receivers and tight ends. And I'm sure in not going in team drills, he's still going to be able to get handoffs to Harlem Berry and to Caden Durham and Dylan Jones, all of those. Those will be big deals, not just being able to sit on the sideline. Again, I don't know what else that really you can anticipate other than it would seem as if that he's right on track to where he wants to go. Now, how does Hassan Longstreet do? Those are a lot of conversations that we will have as well. And we will see him during team drills if we're allowed to see any of those this spring, or at least talk to people who may be there, which is what we've been doing our entire career here at AYS when we weren't there. Bottom line is, I think this is a great sign. I want to add this with Sam Levitt because Lane brought up, or it was brought up to Lane about, look, it's not typical that coaches get on planes to go get players, and you did it once but twice. In this case of Sam Levitt, I mean, he basically told you, hey, man, I went to a Knoxville airport, and I was walking around to go find Sam Levitt. Guys, people around the country can say that, like, this is for show, right? Like, it's for show that Lane is going to Knoxville to go talk to Sam Levitt. From a social media aspect, I mean, Lane talked about that today. Like, think about me what you will. People around the country aren't going to like me. So he told you that, and that's a big talking point that you and I will get to tonight, because he kind of told you something without telling you something. But the way that you went and got him should tell you everything that you need to know about what Lane thinks of him. I was told in the DeMond Williams thing, we've talked about this, that they were not anticipating him entering his name into the portal and it being announced when Sam Levitt was here. And the bottom line truth is, let's see how he comes back from his injury. I think he's going to be completely fine. Can Lane take his game to the next level? Can Charlie take his game to the next level? I think that he can. I think he's a special quarterback, and I think he's a really freaking good quarterback. And look, man, it's going to be a very fun ride, and it's going to be fun to see what Sam Levitt can do. In non-team drills, and if you're asking yourself what are team drills, is when you go 11 on 11. He's not going to be involved in those, but 7-on-7s, run game, specific stuff like that, he will be. And it's a big deal to gain that confidence to get back on the field and to really earn it. Speaking of earn it, guys, I was blown away today in speaking with Lane. So this is the second thing that we discuss here. I'm blown away by, like, hey, man, we gave a lot of you in this room. So they had a team meeting today per Lane. And in that team meeting, he tells them, I don't care how much money you got paid to come here, the best players are going to play. Best players are going to play. Guys, I really feel like last year that was just not the case. I felt like in the Brian Kelly era, that was not the case. Guys, you can make multiple examples of this in just the last 3 years. How did Braden Swinson sit an entire year on the sidelines? How? When Matt House was here. How did, for Ovia Gofu, how did that happen? Last year, everybody wanted to blame this receiver, this quarterback, this offensive lineman. And Ori Williams comes in at right tackle. He goes in at left tackle, and he's better than the two guys that he was playing ahead of. How does that happen? Paul Mabinga goes in above Cohen Eccles. How does that happen? On the defensive side of things, it did not matter. The best players played. You know how I know? Because a true freshman defensive tackle was being rotated in for Don McKinley when Don was sitting on the sidelines during South Carolina. That's how I know. That's how I know. So offensively, basically what you're being told, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money we paid you. I don't care who your mama is. I don't care who your grandmammy is. I don't care who your daddy is. I don't care about none of that. It's like the Herman Boone saying, who's your daddy, Gary? Who's your daddy? We're here to win football games. And I know Lane said in his press conference today, I'm not here to talk about the old staff, and I'm not going to talk about the old staff. Sounds good. But in the context that you said it, you knew that, and you know that there were a lot of problems. The reason that you are here is because under the Brian Kelly administration, things got bad. They got so bad that they gave him $50+ million to go bye-bye. That's how bad it got. In that part being said, he's telling you what he's going to do, and if you like it, great. We're going to be all on the same boat. And if you don't like it, you better jump ship because you ain't going to have a spot here. That is how you build culture. That's how Saban did it. Saban utilized the media better than anybody. And everybody's like, oh, he's an asshole. Hell no. Well, yeah, he is, but not really, because the media would take offense to the questions that they'd ask. It had nothing to do with the media. Now, did he target some of them? That's a dumb question, but basically was talking to his team for 25 to 30 minutes without a doubt. And let me tell you this, if you think players don't watch press conferences of their head coach, you're a damn fool. I had a player, Brandon can attest, producer Brandon can attest. I shouldn't say player. I should say players, plural, that were sending us BK's press conferences. Regardless of that, best players are going to play. And I think that there's no bigger talking point in that, and who Lane is directing that to. He's saying it to the offensive line. Cobble asked, well, coach, what do you think about your offensive line? They haven't practiced a lick. Now, obviously, you project Jordan Seaton to start at left tackle. You probably ball at right guard. Everybody else, brother, it's up for grabs. It is up for grabs. I don't give a shit. To all of the 10 wide receivers that we brought in here, to all of you running backs, you better come here to compete. Competition is going to build out who the best players are here. So I wrap this part up in a little bit of a bow, because if you noticed, some of this goes in a little bit of order. The third thing that I would bring up here that ties into all that. So you have Sam Levitt, you have a complete and utter battle. Now you have some battles along your defense. I guess technically more along your defensive line than anything, but not really. You have 3 spots that are battling for all on the defensive line, because you know what's going to happen at backer. You have a pretty damn good idea what's going to happen in your secondary. So there's no real battles there. You know what's going to happen at the boundary of the corner. You don't have a lot of battles there. But you come out and say, hey, man, Sam's going to go. Well, it tells me personally 2 things. He sees a young buck in Hassan Longstreet that's right behind him, and Landon Clark that's right behind him, and he's got to get up to speed on what Lane and Charlie want to do offensively. There is no tomorrow for you. There is no tomorrow for you, Rock. Many of you have watched Rocky 3. There is no tomorrow. You're building a sense of urgency, utilizing the media to re-emphasize what Lane talked about to his team already today. He's not an hour out of the meeting and coming right back and telling the players, hey, we're going to have fun. We're going to do things, the whole basketball goal, all of that stuff. We're going to have fun, but you better go earn it. You better freaking go earn it, which then leads to number 3. Guys, quite simply, you're building a level of toughness, because he talked about his strength and conditioning coach and Nick Savage. And I think that Lane wanted a question about the strength and conditioning coach. I think he wanted because he got some about Billy Glasscock and the staff and all this. All of that. Guys, this starts with what you're going to do right now with Nick Savage. It's not a popular thing to talk about. It's not the popular situation to talk about. We don't come in here and make segments about, hey, this is what we're hearing about what's going on in the weight room. Maybe we should. Maybe we should break that mold. But saying, hey, man, I'm hearing good things about Nick Savage in the offseason workout. Nobody wants to talk about that. It doesn't get them the clicks. But you better go earn it. Because if you don't, your spot's going to get taken. And that goes for everybody on this team. Try me. He's telling them to try me. When it gets down to it, Lane is basically telling every single player on that offense, try me. It's like, you know, I was thinking about this analogy that I wanted to use on the way home. And the thought, I mean, I don't even know if it's even a completely right thought to have. But it's like, there's nobody in this room. This is Lane speaking to his team. There is none of you in this room that is going to jeopardize what we are going to do on offense. You ain't taking his baby away from him. You ain't taking his baby away from him. So I think he means it. Now, in reference to the Sam Levitt thing, before we move on here, I do find the story of going to Knoxville and what happened there to be very interesting. Because on the one hand, you have Lane Kiffin flying to Knoxville, so he doesn't get Sam Levitt to sign when he's on campus. Sam Levitt goes to Knoxville to go to a Tennessee visit. So you get Lane Kiffin that gets on a plane, goes to Knoxville, apparently lands Sam Levitt because he tweets a tiger emoji. And now Lane's asked today, hey, knock, knock, knock. Coaches don't do that. Why did you? And his answer is the best answer that you can have and that every single fan would want in their head coach. Well, what do you want me to do? My job as the head coach is to bring in the best players that I see fit to make sure that we win football games. Why wouldn't I do it? You know, I think that there is something to be said about when you have a head coach who is that determined to win and that locked in to win. Guys, when you push that hard, you're going to win football games. Quite simply, you're going to win. I don't like being told no. I don't like it. I do not like being told no. Normally, coaches that act that way, Kurt Cignetti, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, do I need to continue to go on? I'll tell you another one who doesn't like being told no. Jay Johnson, Kim Mulkey. You get my point. Well, Blake, he hasn't won shit. Yeah, he didn't win shit at Ole Miss. But I do think it's just different. I 1,000% do. And I think there's something else to be said about this before we get to a massive topic here that we've kind of been prepping for quite some time. He thinks that he's the best quarterback, and this dude just doesn't miss on quarterbacks. You have the best quarterback in the transfer portal when you had none. When you had none, he's not going to be denied. Coaches that win at the highest levels are just simply not denied. And that is what takes you from being a mediocre program, which, let's just be honest, you have been a mediocre program. You're not built like a mediocre program, but you have had mediocre results. You have top floor dynasty resources, talent, fan base, but you've been giving that fan base mediocrity in results. Even with that, you had a Heisman Trophy winner, your third, that was involved in that mediocrity. Whether it be Ed, whether it be Brian Kelly. Since 2019, you've had mediocre results. But you're paying for top-tier ribeye, top-tier Wagyu, top-tier filet mignon. But you're getting skirt steak. The effort, not being a lazy piece of shit. That is what is going to draw a fan base to you, not being lazy. You told me no, well, we're going to recruit our asses off. Guys, it didn't come down to money. It's never going to come down to money for you. You really think, people really on this media beat thought LSU didn't have the money. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It is so dumb. I guess you got all of those resources from being poor. Oh, Blake, Louisiana's a poor state. LSU ain't. They're a $100 million a year company. So It should give you chills to hear the story about, hey, man, I'm walking around in Knoxville Airport. The sitting LSU head coach is walking around a random-ass airport to find his future quarterback. What else do you want from him? Now, you can say the whole process was screwy and it was messed up and we shouldn't have gotten there in the first place. Sure, I'm with you. I don't think that I think a lot of that was out of their control, but not being denied is what you walk out of that from. Just simply you have no thought about being denied. And I think that's something that we all can agree on. Here's so the Sam Levitt news of him being able to go to spring, I thought was the number one overall thing that could have been discussed today. The second thing that I thought was discussed today was Lane talking about how they evaluate talent. Guys, it does not matter. And this is when the statement came out of Lane saying, I'm not going to talk about the older staff. But he talked a lot about scouting and evaluation. There were a couple of guys that were kept on staff. And Lane talked about keeping on some of the other guys that will remain on staff. J.R. Belton is now an assistant GM for LSU. Sam Petito is still on staff. Now, Sam is an interesting thing here, and I've brought that name up 1,000 times on the show. He is going to be over and being a part of your evaluation process. Lane brought up today scouting and evaluating talent 7 times today in some form of reference in his press conference. He says, I think that we evaluate talent better, and I think in that evaluation, we have a specialty at being able to evaluate not only the top-end talent, but going and getting talent that nobody else believes in. Lane would go on to say, too, that LSU produces, or Louisiana produces, some of these smaller 3-star guys that absolutely 1,000% positively hit on. Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, Lloyd Cushenberry, Nate Shepard, who is the leading freshman in the country in rushing this year, who is from Mandeville. With all of that being said, the one thing that you can't deny from Lane, you can't take it from him, regardless of the year, in the SEC, 4 of the last 5 years, they have 10 wins. You can't take it away from him. At Ole Miss, with all due respect, I'm sorry they say that they do. On a year-in, year-out basis, they don't. LSU or Louisiana had 2 top 10 prospects this year along their defensive line, and LSU landed both of them. Mississippi didn't. I mean, your top prospect did not go to Ole Miss. The highest prospect that you got was a wide receiver from inside your state that tore his ACL. So all of that encompassing, I think Lane understands the state and what you need to do there. Scouting and evaluating is the name of the game. Kurt Cignetti says hello, who also was a part of Saban's staff in doing that. Now, Petito was a part of Nick Saban's staff for a long time, won multiple national titles, was a big deal of Caleb Downs leaving Alabama and going to Ohio State, where after Saban retired, that's where Petito would go on. You have a guy that's 1 national title ring away from covering an entire hand like he's Thanos with an Infinity Stones. And all of that being said, Lane brought it up 7 times. I did not. So who's a part of his evaluating and scouting process? Why do you talk about keeping some of those guys and it being a big deal about keeping some of those guys that were on the former staff? Why he brought it up, not me. He talked about it, not me. So if you're going to mention something 7 times in a press conference, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We wrote all of this down. If you're going to bring it up 7 times, I agree with him. The thing that you look at wide receiver from them last year, Kawan Lacey, Trinidad freaking Chambliss, their entire defensive line, their entire secondary. If you just look at what they did at Ole Miss, there's no way that you can say that they don't do that at an elite level. Now, you bring in Billy Glasscock of that. And the Billy Glasscock conversation that Lane talked about today, hey, when I'm gone, I know that the team will be run and Billy will run the team the way that I see fit. And if there's something that he's unsure on, he just calls me and we talk it out. All of that goes in. Now, Lane says he was one of the first ones to bring in a GM, and he's not wrong. And doing this whole NFL level model of bringing in a GM for contracts. It's smart. Keeping somebody outside the collective of doing it. That is why everybody is doing it. So, scouting and evaluating will continue to be a big deal. It is probably and arguably the top three things that you can do. Strength and conditioning is up there. Scouting and bringing in not the top elite guys. Who are the guys that you know that can play here? I think one of these JUCO offensive linemen, as an example, is going to hit. Or one of these lower level guys we're not talking about is going to hit for your offensive line, maybe even this year, but in the future. It's going to happen. I'm going to tell you this right now. They're going to go after the guys that they just think that can play here, whether you like it or not. Screw your star rating, because things like Quinshon Judkins happens. Kawan Lacey happens. Trinidad Chambliss happens. Do you really think a lot of teams were on Princewell Omam the way that they were? He didn't do a lot at Nebraska. He didn't. You can say, well, his brother was at Ole Miss and that's why he went. No, that's not how Lane ticks. Scouting and developing is going to be a big deal here, and I think that they're going to get that done at a very elite level. A couple other things here that we need to get to. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what we talk about here. I mean, I guess we could get to Lane refused to talk about the financial plan twice. He says he's not going to go into breaking down about how the resources are allocated and where they're coming from. He also talked about, I'm not going to give you any of, because it was the first question from Wilson. Basically, I'm just not talking about it. And I think the question is fair. It's more than fair. But Lane did talk about the resources here and why it makes it a little bit just different. Let's start from the high school side of it. He said, listen, people came in and said that Lane Kiffin landed Richard Anderson and Lamar Brown and all these guys. LSU did. That's not really, he's being humble. That's not really true. Guys, you were in a dogfight to get these guys signed. Now, for Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson, I did think it was an interesting situation that Lane said today. Could you have imagined them signing today? Guys, by the way, happy National Signing Day. We're 45 minutes into a show, and we haven't even talked about National Signing Day yet. So, boy, isn't that depressing? So, I don't think he ever will. But, guys, the proof is in the pudding in this entire situation when it comes to money. You've activated a sleeping giant. It is what it is. What I think is the bigger thing in that is, guys, you don't do what you just did in the portal without community support. LSU does not have the number one portal class in the entire country if you don't have the fan base's support behind Lane Kiffin. You don't have the booster base behind Lane Kiffin. If you do not have an aligned administration, it does not happen. So Roos, Verge, Lane, Billy to booster A, booster B, booster C, booster D. Everything is aligned to do what they just pulled off. You're never going to know the money. But here's what I do know. I know that there are teams from the high school ranks of things that there was an article on On3 that came out today, and people were just saying, hey, you know, these teams are spending the most in high school recruiting. USC spent the most. Do you think that those same teams weren't trying to spend more money in the portal to get players that can actually play for them? And Miami and Oregon the most, you shoved into a locker too. You're spending money. You're doing what needs to be done. Lane talked about this place being different a lot, and he brought it up multiple times. And he kind of got to explain it. The community. And I thought Scarborough's question, Mike Scarborough of Tiger Bait's question, was probably the thing that got Lane to say what a lot of fans want to hear. That is that not only is the community boosters, but we take recruits out to eat and everybody's like, hey, man, let's go. Go Tigers. Let's go. Let's go. But Lane talked about feeling the pressure. And I say pressure. He didn't use that word pressure, but feeling what LSU is. I didn't ask for the mic until late, but my question to him would have been after everything would have been very simple. Nick Saban told you to take this job. He said you would regret it. Was he wrong? You've been here for more than 2 months. You've just pulled off what you stated and then stated again. You said, well, it was because of the numbers, that this might be the best portal class of all time. Okay, well, was he wrong? You just pulled in more 5 stars in less than 2 months than you had ever at Ole Miss, ever. Was he wrong? It took you 2 months to do that. And by the way, I don't think you're done with 5 stars and getting them committed inside in the year of 2026. You have done, as the fan, everything in the booster base. You have done everything you needed to do to be a contender. There are no excuses. None. Doesn't mean it happens in year 1. Doesn't mean it happens in year 2. Doesn't mean it happens in year 3. Doesn't mean it happens in year 4. Now, you would probably want it to happen in years 3 and years 4. I'm kind of there with you. On all of that, guys, I think that you're prepping for a run here. What it feels to me is that it feels Jay Johnson-esque. It feels, I don't want to go Saban, that's too much. But you get what I'm saying. When you have a coach that comes in and starts doing things, you've been on that. If you're a baseball fan for LSU, you know what this is like from a recent standpoint. Whether it be Kim, whether it be Jay, it doesn't really matter. From your own fan base, you feel it. From your own fandom, you feel it. You know that this is different than what they're doing. I don't have to sell you on that part. Selling you that this is different and this is aligned with what we've seen at LSU and before, even in the revenue era, you see it. Speaking about this place being different, it is. If ran correctly, you can go on a dynasty run with LSU football. You can. Can you get it there? Now, Lane really pumped the brakes on expectations, which was probably as a media person, see, everything that we talk about and the things that we enjoy as fans, I love them. The biggest thing as a media person that I loved hearing from him today was, oh, well, that's simple. It's the most simplest thing of all. He gave you 0 expectations. Guys, the thing that I did not like about Brian Kelly the most was he gave too many expectations, saying the offensive line this year, he was bullish. He thinks that they will be really good. They sucked. Saying that he has the most dynamic wide receiver room in the country. They stunk. Saying defensively, well, we got a long way to go. No, you didn't. No, you did not. Guys, I don't think it's fair to put any expectations on a first-year coach, regardless of the money you spent. You got to. Bottom line is that he doesn't even want that remotely coming close to his culture. And everything that he's doing is building a culture. He talked about, so we started this entire segment off with TJ Daugherty. And he was asked about Daugherty and being an alpha male and being a leader and portraying to the locker room what I need him to do. Today, when he said, I'm not giving you expectations, guys, they haven't even touched the field. They haven't even run a play yet. They haven't even gone through spring and said, turbos up. And they don't do that because they clap. Cha-cha now, y'all. Boom, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, boom, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. Turn it out. How does he know? None of us know. None of us know. But on paper, you should be really freaking good. All right. We're going to come back, take some super chats. We're going to talk about the pitching mound, and we'll get to whatever it is that we're going to get to here. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. When your business, your farm, or your equipment needs fuel, you need someone that you can trust. At Crump Fuel, they deliver quality gasoline, diesel, and lubricants with honest service and local pride across South Louisiana and South Mississippi. From construction sites, marinas, convenience stores, and trucking companies, all the way down to generators and everyday operations, Crump Fuel keeps you rolling. Crump Fuel is family-owned and family-operated. With high-quality and dependable delivery, they're always going to bring that competitive pricing. Call Crump Fuel today at 985-229-4976 or visit them over at crumpfuel.com. That's 985-229-4976 or visit them at crumpfuel.com today. Crump Fuel, where they're fueling the Gulf South in the right way. We're back. Some of y'all need Jesus. Some of y'all need Jesus. Some of y'all need Jesus. That's all I'm going to say. Some of y'all need Jesus. Guys, can I tell y'all something before we just get moving here? 6,200% increase in listens and downloads in the great state of Mississippi. I never would have thunk it. I never would have thunk it. But here we are. Here we are. All right, before we get to super chats, let's get to this. So the other night we talked about what I think LSU can be on the or at the plate. Let's talk about what I think that they can be on the mound. I don't know. I see a high level of talent coming in for LSU baseball that is going to be on your mound, whether it be a starting role, closing role, middle relief, regardless of what it is. I do think you start the season in some form of fashion. I don't think this is I think pretty much everyone pretty much knows this. Some form of fashion of Casey Evans, William Schmidt, Cooper Moore. We all know that those rotations don't always stay the same. Last year, Chase Shores, who was the third guy, well, he closed for you at the end of the year and won you a national title. The first year that Jay won a national title, Ty Floyd did not start in the starting or was not in the rotation to start the season. Then he was your number 2. Jay also brought up multiple times this offseason he does not want Kason Evans, William Schmidt, or Cooper Moore to try to replace what it is that they had in Cade Anderson and in Anthony Ianson. You can't replace that 1-2. Be yourself. Now, I think that Schmidt has arguably the highest ceiling out of maybe that rotation. Can he put it all together? When the lights come on and the lights are brightest, can he put it all together? You have seen Kason Evans be clutch. You haven't seen him go 7 innings in his starting role. Can he get himself there? I believe that he can. I do think he needs to use his lower body a little bit more, but I'm not going to tell a guy throwing 97 miles an hour what he needs to be doing. And what does Cooper Moore, who's had a fantastic offseason, look like? Because I do feel like that I look at LSU baseball and the expectations that we have they ever really disappointed you? Now, you can say that for the year after the national title and they got to a regional, but that team fought all the way back and got themselves into a regional, and the core nucleus of that team led you to a national title the next year. And I think Jay learned how to reload a team after winning a national title in the portal. On the mound is where I just don't know how it's all going to shake out. I have my thoughts. I have my projections. I'm sure Kason Evans will be in that starting role to some extent. I assume William Schmidt and Cooper Moore will do it to some extent. Does Gavin Guidry start on Tuesdays in the midweeks? Who knows? What do you have, though, that can step up and be that guy? Who is that guy right now outside of Evans, outside of Cooper Moore, outside of Schmidt, that's just simply going to have to step up? Is it Grant Fontenot, who has been closing and been electric this offseason? Can Devin Sheeran give you some innings where he is absolutely elite in doing so? There's a lot of high expectations for Devin Sheeran and Grant Fontenot based off of the offseason that they've had. You got guys in the middle relief of this, like Cooper Williams. Can he find himself in a starting role if he dominates? Who knows? But you have guys like Jay Newt, who's shown a lot of consistency. Connor Bench, who's shown a lot of consistency. You got big-time elite arms. Can they put it all together? In Marcos Paz, who probably should have been drafted in the first 20 picks if not injured. All of that to say, look, I think that you're by far better at the plate. You can't replace 20-plus home runs from one guy. But I think that you're doing that by getting multiple guys in your lineup with more pop. And they can hit the ball a long way and hit for a higher average. I think overall, at the plate, you're better overall as a team. On the mound, guys, I have no idea. Because you're using Jacob Myers in a game that you win versus Arkansas, who's throwing 100 out of the pen. Chase Shores came out in Omaha and locked things down. You had a guy in Cade Anderson that went 9 total innings in game 1 of a College World Series final and had a complete game shutout. Anthony Ianson dominated for you in the postseason. You can't replicate that completely, and you don't need to. You don't need to have to be that elite defensively and on the mound to do what I think that you ultimately want them to do again, and that is repeat. This staff has all the talent in the world to be one of the best, not only in the SEC, which is very difficult to do, but be a very, very good staff across the nation. Now, guys, I think the SEC is a joke for some of these. Some of these teams have really weak schedules. Very, very, very weak schedules. So, do I expect you to win the SEC? You've won 2 national titles before Jay has done that. And your schedule is brutal yet again. Are some of these young arms going to step up and rise up to the occasion? Are some of these experienced arms, like is Jay Newt, who's been showing a lot more consistency, can he step up? What is Cooper Williams in year 2? We've heard a lot about Devin Sheeran. What is he? Grant Fontenot is lighting the world on fire coming out of the pen in the 9th inning. I mean, I've saw him throw 3 times. In the 4 times I went to see them during the fall, he threw every single time. Grant Fontenot was not touched. He wasn't touched. So, like, literally nobody could catch up to what he was throwing at him. We will see. You have all the talent, but can all of that talent lead to what you expect him to do based off of that talent will be the question. All right. Oh, boy. Let's get to some super chats here. Frankie with a $10 super chat says, my favorite part of the press conference was when he said the brand of LSU got Lamar and Deuce. And Richard Anderson's what he said, too. He said, not Frank Wilson, not Lane Kiffin, but LSU. It's exactly why he came here. No doubt, Frankie. And listen, to be a little bit blunt with you, that is a shot. Well, maybe not an intended. That's a shot at Frank Wilson. It 1,000% is just shot at Frank Wilson. They do come here for that. Kids in the state come here for that. It is the brand. Lane's being a little humble. Him and Billy Glasscock had to do a lot to get all this finalized. And to his point, could you have imagined those guys signing today? That is crazy. That would have been crazy. Would have been a massive talking point today, but you would have had to go through a massive battle for both of them. Joseph Riley with a $10 super chat says, I don't give a bleep if he brings some things like a basketball hoop from Ole Miss. Build these dudes up and let them have a blast while doing it for LSU. Are people complaining about that? Are people like literally complaining about what are you complaining about? You complained about a dull guy in Brian Kelly, and then now a guy's bringing a basketball goal in and they're bonding, and you don't like that? Well, then you sound like a sourpuss. Go sit on a dildo. You sound like a sourpuss if you hate that. Taylor became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, buddy. Penn Jones with a $2 super chat says, Bama has 1 billionaire booster. LSU has like 15 or 17. Yeah, you have a lot of money, and people don't get that. You have tech money. You have chicken money. You have oil money. You have construction money. You have lawyer money. Ain't no state that has more ads about lawyers than us. Good googly moogly. I mean, that really doesn't exist. Royce Pierce with a $10 super chat sends some tiger emojis. Thank you so much, Royce. I greatly appreciate it. And Aaron sends a $2 super chat. Says spring ball is going to be fire this year. Can't wait. Me too, Aaron. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be very fun. It's going to be highly electric. Highly, highly, highly electric. I do know that. All right. We'll see y'all soon. Been a long day. See y'all tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace.